What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my prize picks breakdown video for UFC 290. We got Alexander Volkanovski going against Yair Rodriguez.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another prize picks breakdown. This week, breaking down prize picks for UFC 290. And yeah, a couple things sticking out. Can't wait to break it down. I like to try to get maybe around 10 things that stick out if possible. This week, I think I have about 10 on the dot. So we'll talk about what sticks out for this prize pick slate. There's a ton of options, 14 fights. So there's bound to be some things, and I think I found some things that I do like. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you guys have not checked out Prize Picks yet, be sure to do so and use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. It helps me out and obviously helps you out, gives you some free money there. So check it out, Prize Picks. It is a thing I'm going to be doing every week. So a Prize Picks breakdown for 290 here, and I say we kick it off with the significant strikes. And for significant strikes, there's a couple that do stick out here. The first one that I do like is going to be the Yasmin Jauregui. I'm going to take the more on the significant strikes here, 75.5. So I actually like Jauregui in this matchup a decent amount. I know the line is very wide, but she's a very good striker, very high volume, and Denise Gomes kind of just blocks punches with their face. So I guess the one thing I'm worried about is Jauregui finishing Gomes, which I think a finish is on the table, but I think if a finish does happen, it's going to come late. I think Gomes is going to be able to take a lot of damage. I think Jauregui's going to have a lot of success here on the feet. So I like Jauregui to get the more there on the 75.5 significant strikes. The other one I do like is Vitor Petrino, and I like the less here for significant strikes. It's set at 33.5, which would mean Marcin Prachnio would have to eat 34 significant strikes to the face, and I just don't know if that's happening, right? Marcin Prachnio has been knocked out, I think, 4 or 5 times. The majority of those in the first round. Petrino just has a ton of power. Like, Petrino hit Turkalj with some massive shots that I just cannot see Marcin Prachnio eating. So I think if Petrino does land 34 strike, I mean, Prachnio is probably unconscious at that point. So I like the less there on the Petrino significant strikes. I think that one is solid there. And then the last one, this is probably my least favorite in terms of significant strikes, but it did kind of stick out because it seems kind of low. Brandon Moreno, I like the more here on the 80.5 significant strikes. A fight where I think it does get extended. If it doesn't get extended, it is probably a early Pantoja sub, but I think the more likely scenario is this fight does get to those later rounds at the very least. Like, I could see a Brandon Moreno late finish potentially if Pantoja does slow down. But if this fight does reach that third, fourth, and fifth round, I think Moreno is going to have well over 80. I think he can even hit 100, especially if this fight goes the distance. If this fight goes the distance, which I think it is slightly favored to, I think he hits this pretty easy, to be honest. So I like the more here on Brandon Moreno's significant strikes. The early finish upside of Pantoja does worry me a little bit, but like I said, I think the more likely scenario is this fight getting extended. We'll move on to the fight time here. A lot of things sticking out in the fight time this week. The first thing that sticks out to me is going to be the Jimmy Crute. I like the less here on the 7.5 fight time. I know the last fight went to decision last time. I mean, we can't really look into that. We know that all outcomes are different. The rematches, they're never the same. I think this one has good potential to finish early. Like, honestly, the first one should have finished early in the first round. I think both guys have a lot of finishing upside, whether it's a Menafield first round knockout or whether it's Crute getting the fight down to the mat, getting into a dominant position and finishing the fight. So I like the less here on the Jimmy Crute fight time to kick us off. And I like another less too. I like the Jalen Turner fight time, minutes, less, 10 minutes. I mean, Jalen Turner has a 100% finish rate, and all of those wins come before 10 minutes. I mean, the guy's never won a fight that's went into the third round. He's sitting here as a minus 280 favorite. If he's going to win this fight, odds are he will win this within the first, 2 rounds here. So I like the less here on the Jalen Turner fight time. I actually think he probably finished this fight even in the first round. So 10 minutes, I like it. And then another one that sticks out, I mean, it's Bo Nickel here, and 3.5 minutes. Like, this could be a situation where he takes this Woodburn guy down and that's it, right? Like we saw in the Contender Series, about 60-second finishes in both of his wins on the Contender Series. This feels like a Contender Series fight. Woodburn was actually a guy that was supposed to fight on the Contender Series. So this very well could be like a 1-minute win for Bo Nickal, and you're getting 3.5 minutes here. So I actually like the less. It's super low, but Bo Nickal's the biggest favorite in UFC history as far as I'm concerned. So I think it hits. It's crazy, but I think it hits. And then I guess the last one that sticks out, probably my least favorite out of the 4, but it's going to be the Nico Price fight time in minutes. I would like maybe like a 12.5, but 10 minutes. These guys are going to stand and bang. Robbie Lawler, Nico Price are going to stand and bang. They're going to go to war. I question both guys and their durability at this point. I think somebody's getting served here at some point. Like I said, I would like maybe 12.5 minutes, but I still think the 10 minutes has a good chance of hitting here. I think it's going to be an absolute car crash. I think both guys are going to walk forward. Both guys are going to land big shots. We saw Barberena finish Robbie Lawler in round 2, and I think if Barberena's finishing you, Nico Price can as well. On the flip side, we've seen Nico Price finish like 5 times. So I think both guys are live for finish. Give me the less there on the fight time in minutes. All right, so liked a lot there in the fight time. In terms of takedowns, nothing's really sticking out here. Jimmy Crute could get a takedown, and that could be that. Jimmy Crute could get knocked out without even landing one. Jesus Aguilar, I don't trust him, to be honest. Brandon Moreno, I don't think he goes for takedowns at least early on. Alexander Volkanovski, I like that kinda, but that's a hefty amount there at 3. The only one I do like would be that Tatsuro Taira, more than 1.5 takedowns, but even that's kind of like a sweat though. So give me the more with Tatsuro Taira. My thinking here is I don't think Edgar Chairez is a complete bum. Chairez really big for the division. He's super tough. The only thing I don't like about Chairez is his cardio. He does slow down as the fight goes on. He tends to make mistakes later down the stretch. So I could see a scenario where Taira does get a takedown in the first round. Aguilar is, or Chairez is able to either get back up or survive on the mat. The fight hits the second round. Taira gets a second takedown, and that more than 1.5 takedowns hit. So not a ton sticking out on the takedowns, not a ton of options, but Taira would be the one I'd look at. Volkanovski 3, I don't think is, the more is the worst play in the world there, but 4 is quite a bit there. So give me that Tatsuro Taira more than 1.5 takedowns. All right, and then let's move on to fantasy score. Not a ton sticks out here either. I guess the one that I do like is going to be, if I can find it, I don't mind this. I don't mind the more on Yasmin Haregi, 90.5. She's a big favorite here. I think she puts up a pretty decent score in a win, to be honest. Like, she's very high volume. I think a finish is actually on the table here at some point against Denise Gomes, who's just very hittable, blocks punches with her face. I could see Haregi mixing in takedowns even. I could see Haregi getting on top and getting a TKO. I think Haregi has some solid upside here, honestly. So 90.5 fantasy score, give me the more there. I don't mind that. And then I want to talk about the Bo Nickal fantasy score here. So that's a lot. He scored 100.5 in terms of DraftKings, at least on in the Jamie Pickett fight in his debut. I remember that. So if Bo Nickal goes out there, he takes this guy Woodburn down and finishes him in the first, couple minutes. I don't know if he hits 118, because Bo Nickal is a guy that he doesn't throw any strikes. And by the way, we'll talk about the Bo Nickal strikes in a second, which I did want to touch on. I forgot about it. But he doesn't throw any strikes whatsoever. He's taking you down. He's getting into a dominant position, and he's finishing you. So I don't know if he reaches 119 here. I really don't. And even like Jack Della Maddalena up here at 122, I could see a scenario where Jack does pay off this and hit this over this more here, just because Jack can throw a ton of volume. He can get some knockdowns, whereas Bo Nickal, I kind of see it as he's going to take this guy down at some point early and then finish him probably shortly after, like 2-3 minutes in. So give me the less here on the Bo Nickal fantasy score, and I don't hate that. And then also in terms of significant strikes, another great, like, this Bo Nickal fight is just wild, but it's set at 10.5. which is extremely low, but you take a look at all of his fights, and he's like landing like nothing. like just a couple significant strikes. So as crazy as this sounds, I think the less probably hits, unless he wants to go out there and strike with this guy, which I don't think he does. But I think this less probably hits. Not something I might play this week, but it's another thing that I did want to point out. So don't hate that. Yeah, lots of options. I think I gave 11 there. Let's see how we do. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your guys' favorite play down in the comments. Maybe I missed something. But yeah, I think there's some solid spots this week for some prize picks. I'll be getting in some plays before I head out to Vegas. Before we head out, if you guys can like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live Friday in the afternoon for my final thoughts video. Best bet is already out, and then there's going to be more content dropping throughout the week. Again, if you guys could please do me a favor, check out PrizePicks. Use that promo code DFSBTN. It helps me out, helps you out. You get a free $100. Check it out. Highly recommend and appreciate it a ton. So, best of luck for UFC 290. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.